Ajay Bijli, do you have a similar story to tell? Your PVRINOX, 1,674 cinema screens, 358 theaters across 114 cities in India and Sri Lanka, overall turnover 7,500 crore rupees, viewing of 100 million people in 2019, just before COVID. And then you said it became zero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so what
I've
did
got
you
1
do?
minute, 15 seconds, I can
No,
say.
don't worry. We'll get it extended. I think the clock went a
thank
little
you, first
haywire.
of all, for having me, and these are incredible stories. So, of course, our business, 2019 globally was the biggest box office year in the world. $42 billion was the gross box office revenues at cinemas. And even India was massive. And we had about 100 million people coming to our cinemas. And suddenly this COVID broke and, 2020 March 15th, 16th, cinemas were shut down. So we were the first ones to be shut down and the last ones to have opened. So obviously it was if I say it was a body blow, it's an understatement because suddenly your revenues came to zero. And we didn't have any other avenues. Ours is very simple business. The shutters are up, business is up, shutters are down, business is zero. So even no home delivery we could do, no other avenues. So one of the lessons that I learned at that time was that it's all very good to say core competence, do very well, do one thing, do it exceedingly well. But if you put all your eggs in one basket, sometimes a very out of shape scrambled egg or omelette comes out. So that's what happened with us. But for me, more than the business, it was important to remain sane. I was very fortunate that, by default, due to a lockdown, my kids were with me. My wife, Selena, she's here. My mom lives in the same house, my brother. So suddenly, this perspective came to me that, okay, fine, this is not a disruption. This is an interruption in my business. And it's fine, count your blessings. There are other things to, you can't have a one-dimensional view of life, that if business goes down, you go down. And I just started to take care of myself and exercised, did everything. And in fact, I shaved every day as well. So I didn't want to look like completely dukhi atma on the Zoom calls as well. And because I wanted to do that for my family, I wanted to do that for 12,000 people working at PVR and come out with strategies to survive. I don't have time, but I'll just tell you a few things. We had to obviously, since we didn't have any other revenue avenues, so cost was the only thing we could do and shoring up liquidity. So I was fortunate that most of my people, without me even asking, took a 50% haircut in their remuneration. I was extremely fortunate that all developers, because our business is all about renting spaces, they all came forward and gave us rent reliefs, even without force majeure. I was extremely happy that we were able to raise funds, because 18 months is a long period to have zero revenues. So we raised liquidity through a rights issue. We raised liquidity through a QIP. I was absolutely blown away that we were able to raise the kind of cash we did to survive 18 months. We were completely at the brink of bankruptcy. And because of cost savings, because of being able to raise money, and because of remaining sane, and again, thanks to my parents, that how to maintain equanimity.
And now you've also acquired a company and as well.
Yeah. Well, as they say, never waste a good crisis. So we found an opportunity that only in COVID we could have done this merger. And we did a merger with INOX, so the number 2 player in the listed entity. And basically just to make the balance sheet stronger. And that's it really, and I think I've run out of time. That's a massive times I've written.
Well, I'm going to just take a little, just one more round we're going to have, and this is lessons, management lessons. So Ajay Singh, we can start with you. What are the 3 things that you would say that you learned, which others could learn in terms of managing resilience? 3 things that you would say in your mind, 1, 2, 3, if I take them off.
Well, I think...
Don't worry, I'll tell them too. You can say them. I think everyone's interested. Just 3 things. Yeah, quickly.
So I think, one, as Ajay was just saying, try and find opportunity in crisis. That also keeps you sane, by the way.
Right.
Besides, so it's a way to remain optimistic in life. I think 2, this importance of automation. I think that was key. We learned that a lot of stuff that we were doing could actually have been automated when we were forced to automate because of COVID. So that's something that everybody should do, COVID or no COVID. I think those are two really big ideas. And three, I think that never presume that the worst can't hit you, because we never ever imagined a situation in which there could be an outage like COVID. We just thought things were going to remain hunky-dory for periods of time and there'll be small blips, but that there can be huge events of this sort and that one needs to even plan for those, I think was a big learning for us.
Puneet, quickly, two or three things that you would...
One, I would say that I realize the importance of giving. So if you give one in good way, 10 times good comes back to you. I never would have believed. You only read that in books. The second is, if you look after your people, they look after your guests, and then the business is there to stay. And last, I would say, is shortcuts don't help even in a pandemic. Don't take shortcuts. They only solve short-term problems but create long-term challenges.
Wow. Ajay?
Yeah, I mean, I think good times, bad times, if you take care of all your stakeholders, customers, your people, in our case, the film fraternity, I didn't stop them from going to OTT platforms. That's an elephant in the room. I thought I must address that as well. And everybody, and bankers, investors, and they help you, because if you've done a good job of running your company, taken care of them, and also you can't just maintain a facade of remaining positive with your team. You have to back it with statistics. So I'm in a business where 1,800 films come through the system in India, and 1.45 billion tickets get sold. It's an industry which has been around for 125 years. So you can't renounce an activity suddenly for 18 months if it's shut. So it was here to stay, and I proved it by data. And it's proven even now. Some of the biggest hits have come post-pandemic. Never have you seen a Telugu movie, Kannada movie, English movie, Hindi movie doing the business that is done. So I think if you just give lip service to your team, it doesn't work. You have to back it with data. You have to back it with the conviction that your business is here to stay. This is just an intermission, a very long intermission, but not the end of, it's not doomsday.
I think,
so the deeper you go, the higher you reach.
I think one thing that all of us realized in that period was that one needs to be scrupulously honest. This importance of honesty, just to tell people how bad things were. Just the bad news to everybody, to all your stakeholders, and say that you're doing something about it and be upfront and honest about what you are able to do and what you're not able to do. I think that goes a long way. I think all of us realize that in this period.
Fabulous lessons. One last word from you, Puneet.
Just
since
that,
the hotel is
as
yours.
bad as COVID was, it accelerated the speed of change and the openness of people to embrace change. That was good.
Let's give them the new COVID heroes, I would say. Let's give them a very warm round of applause for what they've done. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.